Whoa, welcome back to Big Content. Played ball together last weekend, Jack. You didn't tell me I was better than you. You never told me. You're out here like I can play D1.
The most classic.
And I'm trying to be humble.
The most classic Nick moment was we were on the same team game one, and then after game two, he was on a different team because we lost game one. And
then I hit my free throws to stay on the court.
And he goes to me, he goes, undefeated. I'm like, dude, we were on the same team. We lost the first game. And he's like, I didn't even think about that. Like, I just stayed on the court, so I thought I
just stay with a winning mentality.
Comments on your game. Well, the reason we're starting with the hoops is because this is for Nick Rudman. I'm wearing Celtic shorts.
I was wondering what. Yeah,
I wanted him to see, first off, my thighs because I've been in the gym. Second off, he only listens. I wanted him to see us today. Okay. But my comments on your game, you were definitely better than I thought, so I'll give you credit for that. Or maybe it's a lack of credit to me for underestimating you. You got really hot when you turned the camera on, which is the sign of, one, a content creator, and two, a primetime performer.
I didn't. So we played the first two games, and then I was like, I should grab some content for like the vlog that's going out tomorrow. I'll put my camera in the corner, absolutely drained. I scored, I think, all like 11 of our team's points that game. And then I turned the camera off after. Did you see the highlight tape?
Yeah, it was funny.
Incredible.
It was funny.
Butter.
It is very 2023, internet mixtape vibes of like you post your content, people think, you got me on that one move.
What about the pick?
The pick was a good pick. But, apparently Hallie has some content in the archives of the Eurostep that have yet to be revealed. So, it's like you can't just judge off clips. You got to be there for
you were good. You were good.
What'd you think of the overall run?
Perfect.
Yeah, it was a great run on
perfect.
Saturday.
Like literally everybody was the same skill level.
Yeah.
It was,
and the court size is perfect that it's enough exercise, but awesome. It's not full court.
I was dead by the third game.
It was 98 degrees on the roof.
That's fair too. Yeah, no, I thought the run was perfect. It was like there was like one tall kid. Everybody athletically was around the same skill set. A couple people were like better. Basically, the way pickup games work is like whoever ends up like hitting their shots that game is like the good player that game. You were good though. I think you were probably the best player on the court. At least like I
had a good connection with Brandon. So Brandon Wimbush played. He played at Notre Dame football.
Can I he walks in. I'm like, that dude looks like a. So you had told me like the week or a couple days before. You're like, yeah, this quarterback from Notre Dame's coming to play with us. This guy walks in. I'm like, he looks like a football player. I'm like, Jack, is that him? And you're just like, no. So the entire rest of the day, I'm like, oh, that wasn't him. I guess the guy never showed up.
I guess the guy's just built like a football player.
So to be fair, he was a quarterback, so he's not like a D lineman. I wouldn't know that. But he was thick. He was like Russ Wilson kind of like build. And then I post a picture of the courts, and someone literally underneath on Twitter was like, is that a Brandon Wimbush sighting? And I look at his profile, I'm like, you son of a bitch.
I'm not going to lie. I hadn't seen Wimbush in person since he had played in college. And then what threw me off was he showed up with my two friends.
Oh, and so you didn't actually know that was him?
I genuinely did not. I knew he was coming, but I didn't think that he would come. He lives with my friends, which I thought was.
I thought you knew that's how he was getting there.
No. We had followed each other on Twitter for a while. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, it threw me off. But then I joked to you that I didn't want you to be intimidated because he was athletic. There was no doubt about it.
He's a bully.
He's a thick boy. But, yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Great run. Yeah, when's the next one?
I don't know. The next day at the gym, I was being an asshole and doing some box jumps, and I slipped, and I was in some pretty bad shape. Like, couldn't move, neck, back pain. So I'm finally getting over the hump, but it ruined some runs for us.
Why don't you be a good person and just organize runs?
That's what I'm going to do.
You could be like the scorekeeper.
Yeah.
You could be the filmer. You can film
I could film all your content. All right, so where are we starting on this big content? First off, some value for the people, which will also equate to potentially some value for me. Snapback Agency, which is the digital creator agency. We rep digital creators in sports. We are hiring a marketing coordinator. The role is LA-based, so if you've wanted to be a creator, you want to get into the creator industry, this could be a very good opportunity for you. And in a market where jobs are tougher to come by, most companies are not hiring. We're excited to be hiring. If maybe you know someone who's in LA or would be willing to relocate to LA, a fairly good opportunity here to get in.
Okay. So bouncing off of that, what kind of email would hit your inbox that you would be like, ooh, let me forward this to Alex. This guy feels like a fit. Like, what are you looking for experience on a resume? Are you looking for like someone to make a video for you? Like, what are you looking for here?
So, yeah, good question. So you can apply snapbackagency.com. We have a careers tab. It's the marketing coordinator role. All like recommendation, like hit me in Twitter DM is probably easiest way to find me. Like I'll flag an app. Alex leads the hiring process. Alex, as we've joked before, he's the more traditional, more corporate one. Like we're on Slack, even though we're a 3-man company. And
we got it too.
You know, yeah. So I think it's applied like 100%. We've created an application that will take 10, 15 minutes. Like it's going to take some thought to go through and actually, you know, show your wits and experience. But if you want it to be flagged because you think it's a good app, definitely hit me in the DM. What DM would that be? I would say it's probably like suggesting a client that, you know, we should go out after. Or
is that what you're looking for? So because when I hear, like, I might be young and hungry and being like, oh, cool, marketing for Snapback.
Yeah.
Like, define marketing coordinator a little bit more because it feels like a very buzzy kind of.
It is. And we're not like a job titles company, but it does help kind of, you know.
Except for CEO, founder, and influencer.
Yeah, Jack. Creator and NBA future star. What is marketing coordinator going to do? They're going to handle a lot of our internal stuff. So our talent managers are going to handle the clients. So make sure that our clients are happy, make sure that their schedules are good, make sure that they're making money. Our marketing coordinators would be, okay, we are talking to Gatorade about a partnership. The marketing coordinator is going to prep the deck with ideas. They're going to build the deck out with the client and then have it be able to be sent to the client, for example. So it's more of like an internal role. You're not required to like be doing selling. You're not required to be managing the talent. You'll have exposure to that, and you can absolutely do that as well. But it's mostly like internal marketing so that we can do external marketing. We are looking for someone who's come from the agency side or has a couple years of experience, 1 to 2 years of experience. But my philosophy is like, I'm hiring the best person. I don't care what they've done, like if you're overqualified, let's talk about it. And maybe we'll bump the salary and we'll hire, like originally we're looking entry level, but you know, we're trying to build the best company we can.
Yeah, I feel you. All right.
So yeah, snapbackagency.com. What I wanted to talk about today, the core of today's episode, is legacy media. So New York Times just announced they're cutting their news desk around the New York Times. Now, they do own The Athletic, so logically they would slot that in. But when I talk legacy media, Athletic's probably wavering between legacy and new next gen. Like, it's a lot of older reporters, journalism, but they kind of attacked it in a next gen way. ESPN layoffs, Athletic did their own round of layoffs. It seems like legacy media is struggling right now. It could be a nature of overhiring. It could be that the old way doesn't work. We're the next gen of digital media in sports. We're, fortunate to not have fired yet. I mean, Tony any day now. But what do you think? Is it a legacy media problem and we're at the advantage, or do you think the wipeout is just hitting the people who had much higher overheads? Now it's going to come to companies like us where, it's all a trickle down.
To me, it kind of comes down to like, all right, if you put, or like say you lined up the names of the companies, right? Like say you put New York Times, ESPN, whatever, and then put like a blanket over them, right? You couldn't actually see them. And then you just listed their actions, like what they're actually doing right now. You would, I think, be able to easily point out the ones that work in today's world and ones that don't work in today's world. Like, for instance, if we just pivoted and started doing blogs and started writing newspapers and shit like that, of course we're not going to work anymore. So I think it has way less to do with...
Why, though? Because a company like Establish the Run, right, they are web-focused.
I would say they're podcast-focused.
You think so?
Yeah.
I feel like...
I listen to their podcasts.
But still, the majority of the revenue comes directly through the website. They use content to go through web as opposed to your content for the most part, partially is partnership advertising. I mean, you have Draft Guide and product as well. But they're, like, no one is sponsored. Like, Coca-Cola doesn't sponsor their podcast, right?
Yeah.
It is to redirect back to web.
Yeah, I mean, they have a similar setup to us where they're doing their podcasts and their videos long form. They have the underdogs on there promoting and stuff like that, which is where I think majority of their money goes. But they also, they have their like online product is not much different than our draft guide. It's like different assets within the product itself, but it's the same setup business wise that we have, where they realize top of the funnel is the content. It's video and it's audio right now. And I do want to say, like, it's obviously open for people to succeed via written, via any of the legacy media type of things, but it's a lot more difficult because the longer something's been around, the more saturated it's going to be, whether it's a platform specifically or a type of communication. And maybe like the next platform that caters to writing as a communication needs to come. Maybe that needs to like get back into the cycle somehow for those types of, I guess, like legacy media people to hit off. But I do think it's just a lot of being able to transfer what you're doing to the right platforms and doing it in the way that, like, where you really go back to where the eyeballs are. I don't know. I for me, it just feels very much.
Is that what it is? And TV is probably another example of legacy media that has lost to streaming. They've lost eyeballs to the younger generation. You think it's just less eyeballs on those platforms?
I think it's less eyeballs on those platforms, yeah. I think they've clearly shifted to other platforms, and it's a matter of like whether or not you want to put real resources. And there's part of me that empathizes with those companies, right? Like there's part of me that's saying like you built this massive monster and it's very easy to continue doing that and continue making revenue off that for the next like 3 to 5 years, although you should probably start making the shift, but it's not an easy shift to make, especially because you guys are unfamiliar with it. It's not like the fucking CEO of ESPN was a TikTok influencer, right? So he can't, so maybe he's an expert in TV production, but shifting the whole thing when humans don't have control over it and they feel like I'm the one steering the ship, but I'm not actually sure what's over that waterfall over there. Like maybe I just don't want to make that pivot. So I do empathize, but at the same time, they're like corporation. They got to adjust with the times. Yeah. Right? And I think we'll see more corporations over the next, I don't know. I think about this, I guess, relatively often because I listen to Gary Vee's podcast and he talks about, he's like, there's so many companies in today's world that just like, they're so behind the times on marketing. And I'm like, I can't imagine that's going to be the case for like too many bigger companies the next 5-10 years as they see the Gary V's go up and they're like, let's just hire a progressive marketer. Let's just hire guys who are like really into social. But I don't know. It's weird. It's not something I'm really like familiar with because I'm not in boardrooms or meeting with these kind of people like often. So I don't actually know what they're talking about, but you could see just from the actual moves that they make, they're just a little bit behind. Yeah.
If you're the CEO of The Athletic, or you're a consultant for the CEO, what's your recommendation?
What exactly is their content entirely written? I'm not actually sure that their business model, to be honest.
It's subscription,
written, access to written. Yeah, like I understand that they're like emotionally attached with being like, we only do writing, but it makes no sense for their people under their brand not to be taking screenshots of their articles and making green screen TikToks, right? Like that would go so much further in the marketing of who they are, in my opinion. Like that's really low hanging fruit in what is clearly shown in today's world to work. Yeah. So
it's, I think, taking articles and contentizing them and making them into videos.
People just get like romanticized about like what their idea of their, and it's cool. Like, listen, it's your product, like it's your company, of course, and you have an idea for what it can be. But a lot of the times you're like holding yourself back from progressing, I think.
Right. They're like, we write premium articles. No one wants to pay for premium articles because they can consume free content.
Your mindset should be like, we create premium content. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like that should really, I feel like what it comes down to.
That's a banger. Speaking of one of those companies who's done a really good job, in my opinion, of doing this is Morning Brew. So they started as a newsletter. They obviously had a website. They've expanded newsletters, but then they started expanding. They went content by way of podcasts. Then they went video content as well. And Austin Reef, who is the founder or co-founder of it, he got into a little just back and forth with Jason. Do you know how to pronounce his last name?
Give me Calcanis.
Calcanis. Yeah. So Ben Mullen tweets, news, Morning Brew is cutting money scoop. It's personal finance.
Hold on real quick. So the Morning Brew is basically these two kids out of Michigan started a newsletter that pretty much covers like things that are happening in the business world.
Yes.
Right. So, and eventually it scaled, and now they're like a full-fledged media company with many products and services, whatever. And these were two of the co-founders who've gotten much bigger, but they're now like Twitter
they've built their personal brand. So they're cutting this newsletter. It's the email that, it had 350,000 subscribers, published hundreds of amazing stories.
They're just cutting that?
Sounds like they were cutting it. Jason Calcanis tweets, media is about 25% through the pain. Expect another year of brutal layoffs and shutdowns. Tech is 75% through the pain. We took the medicine in 2022. It wasn't pleasant. Austin actually responded and said, he said, Vice is bankrupt. BuzzFeed's market cap is under 100 million. The rest of the publishing industry is consolidated. I'd love to know what the other 75% you're referring to is. So his take was he thinks we're way past the 25% that Jason was saying. As someone who's in media, I think, his fear is like all of us. If we are only a quarter of the way, like it's been a bloodbath already. How much worse is it going to get? I'm going to attach a conversation I had yesterday with another media company and his relationship with advertisers. And he's saying a lot of the same things we've been saying over the last few months is like ad spend is down. Like people are going to need to be cut. Like business models were not thought about. It was just scale content, not actually thinking about monetizing it. So without trying to play macroeconomics, do you worry about this stuff? Do you think we're close to done?
I don't think I worry about. I think there's just going to be a shift in the way that media works, in the way that everything is kind of niched down. I think we're going to see so many companies like yours and mine over the next 10 years where individual creators start a business and don't necessarily scale it to, like, every mom and pop store doesn't become an IKEA, right? Like most of them, maybe if they're lucky, have 2 to 3 locations or something like that.
And you can still be profitable and make a living.
I think that's what we'll see. I think we've gotten to the point where like media is so glamorized that everyone thinks you got to be Barstool or BuzzFeed or whatever. Yeah. But you can absolutely make a living and do something that we're doing. And I think we're going to see a lot of like individual creators making 8 figures a year just off of like building a business behind media and selling product services, whatever. I think you're going to see a lot of like scaled teams like this as well, where it maybe maxed. I don't know if I want to go bigger than like 10, 15 people, right? We'll see where we are at that point, but I think we'll come to the realization that it's not always better to be bigger. And if if you're passionate about something, you're really good at what you're doing, then maybe that's like kind of where you settle in. I think the individualization of media has obviously already happened, but I think that's what the next like decade's really going to be about, where it's not this conglomerate of like media companies who want to monopolize the communication between the audience and the customer. It's more just like people doing shit that they love, and there's a fuckload of those guys. Yeah,
it's interesting, and you mentioned Barstool, who we both have a ton of respect for in the media space. I think, like, without shitting on, the majority of people there, because I like a lot of the people there, if you remove the big names, what is that company, right? And that's kind of the point to what you're saying. Of course, they get more eyeballs because they have the fringe people and the guys who are kind of funny. But it really is running. It's a 6-8 man operation.
The system breaks at some level, you know, like when you get too big. And that's what makes me nervous about it, is like if Barstool, they were one of, if not the only company that I feel like was able to keep a real edge, like really be edgy for the entirety of their career. And I still think they're there. Their just quality has diminished because they've gotten to scale at such a big level that makes me feel like if they weren't able to keep doing it, there might just be a level where it becomes impossible.
And they're hundreds of employees. So it's, it's not like you can't scale to 50 people. Like when they were 50, they were still running and amazing.
I think it would be cool. Like, we don't have the information at hand, but I think it might be worthwhile to like collect that information, see how many employees Barstool has. Because I bet if you ask people, almost every single person on the street would undershoot the number of people that work for that company.
Oh my God.
But like compare it to a non-media type company and be like, they're the same number of employees, they're the same number of people, and see like if that would invoke some sort of like reaction or emotion from people.
Yeah, it's like
to kind of get the point across.
It's the first 50 were probably like, for every person, 100 on revenue, 100x on revenue, and then you add 51, and they're like a 50. And then by the end, now these people, like, how much are they really contributing to the overall pie?
And it's so big that it's almost like impossible to actually measure, too.
For sure.
Which is where things get kind of messy, I think.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to try out some singing. Do you want to sing with me? Maybe. All my threads are dead. Got me in the head. All my threads are dead.
What's this in relation to? Obviously threads, but
yeah. Dead or
I don't think I've logged onto the app since last episode. That doesn't mean like it's just been dead for me.
Yeah.
Is something happening in public?
No, just, obviously it was the hype cycle, and I don't know. I don't know if there's any juice left to it. It's interesting.
Within the last week, has there been anything that genuinely made you want to open the app?
No, actually, the one thing that made me want to close the app was Adam Masseri, who's the head of product. So I think he posted something.
At Instagram?
He said, it's been 6 days, and this was a day ago now. It's been 6 days.
We have
50 million. I don't even know if he put out the number. Yeah. But he was like, we're shipping this, this, and this. It's been overwhelming. There's so much to do. Like, and honestly, as a consumer, I'm like, all right, I don't really give a fuck. Like, that's your job. Like, I'm not going to feel bad for you because you onboarded 50 million followers. You're now admitting to me the platform is unusable. We don't have a following tab. Our search is off. Like, okay. So now you have put yourself at a high risk of losing out, right? They try capitalizing on the hype cycle, which was Elon burning Twitter with rate limit. Yeah. They push it, forward, and now you're saying, all right, you could use the app. It's not a great experience, but come back in a week. Well, how many people are coming back in a week? I don't know.
They won't give those. I want to see a real number in a month from now. The problem is they'll never give you
daily actives.
I want to see daily active users 1 month from like this date. And I also don't even really trust the numbers that they give out on those from those fucking companies. Well, but what they're going to do is in a month from now, they're going to be like, here are monthly active users, which pulls from this week still into the next, some bullshit like that. So we're never going to get it, but it's less like looking at numbers and analytics and more just like common sense. Do you have anyone in your life? We are in our 20s and 30s, like where pop culture lives. Yeah. Is anyone like, yo, did you see that thing on Threads? Not a single fucking person, which is where my head lies, just like intuition wise.
Yeah, I would say one of the gut instincts that I definitely had, and I think you shared, was that it really just gave big Instagram profiles a major step up. And on Twitter, you built community. A lot of people from the ground up, they've been on the platform for a decade, or you've been on the platform for 6-7 years. And so you've curated this community. And instead with Threads, you kind of just were almost gifted. And now it doesn't feel like everyone got to start from square one. It would be same thing on if TikTok didn't exist and Reels was the only short form video platform, and it was all these amazing creators that came out of TikTok because it was this even playing field are now just batting from the bottom of the order. And I think that for me, especially as a creator, has been a huge turnoff. And that's someone with I have 7,000 followers and I've posted 5 threads. I don't think that's actually a good experience.
Yeah.
So the ease of it was great. The ease of sign up was awesome, and that I love.
There's a lot of just short-term validation going on, which very rarely leads to long-term validation.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's like they put thought into it, I guess, but it really just feels like they were like, people don't like Elon Musk, so we're just gonna make this platform and it's gonna work. And it's like, that's a terrible business plan.
Yeah.
You didn't make a product that people like. You just I don't know. It's ridiculous to me.
So threads may be done, but
we'll have another conversation in a month and see where we're at.
We'll see the monthly active.
I'll keep a counter on how many times I open threads over the next month.
Okay, all right. On one hand.
And I won't actively be against it. If things come up in my life where you're like, you got to check this out, I'll go on. But
I don't think a single person has sent me a thread.
Yeah. Can you even do that?
I actually don't know if you can. But that's honestly when TikTok started to take off, I believe, is when they made it very easy to send, and then they watermarked it, and I think that's the best thing that they ever did. Tweets get sent in the group all the time. Instagram, though, stays on platform, which is really interesting.
It is weird, kind of, actually. I never really thought about that.
You would never... I did just text someone an Instagram link, but it was because I wouldn't DM with them on it.
Yeah, I would only not do it if I don't DM with them, or if I'm like, oh, that's my friend, he just doesn't have an Instagram for some fucking reason, so I can't DM him. That's very true. I never really thought about that.
Yeah, so you do want to encourage that.
But do you think, I guess tweets go into the group chat. I don't send TikToks to people personally on the TikTok platform because I actually feel like the experience in there is bad.
It's not great.
It's not good. It's good via text.
I would honestly argue that could be. And if it's not, it should be their strategy.
Yeah.
And the one thing I will note that I realized, you can't even make a TikTok group message, which feels intentional because I wanted, my friends who I text with, we share a lot of TikToks, and I was like, oh, let's just do a group on there, keep it on platform, it's easier. And you can't. So it constantly encourages you to...
That blows my mind. It's like...
I think it's smart.
Why?
Because I think it gets people onto the platform.
Bringing people from the group chat onto... Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because it has to be intentional. You can't be that big of a company and realize that there's this kind of problem to solve and just not do it at this point. It's interesting. I really thought about like out of communication for apps.
Some broader, digital creator topics. First off, Dude Perfect, who we've discussed before, trick shot group out of Texas. That's also diminishing who they are. They have like hundreds of millions of followers. They are sponsoring Burnley FC, which is an English soccer team. They're junior and academy teams. So in Europe, it's very common that like the central club, so let's call it Manchester United, their academy team is like very much so associated with the team. Not like you play Pop Warner football for the Ravens. There's zero association there. They actually draw from the academies,
so
have
like
training.
Baseball, like minor leagues.
It's but this is for like 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds. Like it's like really super young. So like the famous one, some of the famous ones like Harry Kane, Tottenham's best player, captain of England. Like he literally started in Tottenham's academy or Arsenal's academy, their rival. And so it's like it's all part of the story.
That's wild.
Anyways, Burnley definitely not one of the biggest clubs by any stretch of the imagination, but they are, Dude Perfect is targeting that younger international audience. Any thoughts on that?
I'm not really like familiar with who they are as a brand. You said their content is just like trick shot stuff.
Yeah. You've never heard of Dude Perfect?
I have, I think, through like you telling me about them. Other than that, I don't. I'm sure I'd notice them if I saw their face or whatever. I think it's interesting. It's like the combination of when like companies or brands start to hit scale, they start to do things where the individual creator is like, why are you doing that? You're like wasting money. But then like if you're a creator or a smaller brand like us, and you're like, man, there's only so many like YouTube videos we can make to hit scale. Let's try to branch out and like do some legacy type advertising and traditional ways of media. And there's a reason that companies still do that, because it does work to a point. And I wonder if we're going to see like a swing in the pendulum where like newer creators start to do more legacy, older media stuff, and older media start to do more.
I think it already has swung. The next one I was going to bring up is Prime. So Logan and KSI's Drink sponsored Arsenal and then sponsored FC Barcelona.
That thing is just a money printing company, huh?
Yeah. Well, they are having a lawsuit. Apparently, there's like 8 times the caffeine of it. Like you drink one bottle, it's like drinking 6 Coca-Colas. I'm not.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to get my hands on those.
Gonna get into the health.
Actually, I've never had one.
Benefits, me neither. But Barcelona's official like accounts let them do the announcement, let them do a little skit on the channel. But instead of Prime, I actually want to talk about Logan. He got engaged. Why is that relevant? Because love is in the air? No, because he created content out of it. And I found that very interesting. It seemed, I only saw like the 4-minute, I guess, pull from the YouTube video. I'm assuming it's a YouTube video. I saw it on TikTok. But the whole thing is content. And for someone whose brand over the years has wavered, in all sorts of directions, I thought that this was a really interesting, obviously very intentional content play. Or maybe it wasn't, and like you always shared, that's how you express yourself. And so that's something he obviously wanted captured on video, on camera. Now what it does, I think it has humanized him to an amazing level. I think like if it were intentional or regardless, it's a really smart move for his brand. I don't know if you got a chance to see that.
I didn't see the video, but I would like to watch it now to put more context behind it, because he's someone that like, I don't know how I feel about him. I really like enjoyed watching his evolution from just like kind of an annoying piece of shit younger kid to like someone I thought was watching. I felt like I related to him a little bit, like just watching mature and become someone who's like much more comfortable with themselves as they get older. But then the whole like CoffeeZilla thing happened with the NFT project, and that made people really mad at him. And then I don't know if you saw that like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, like CoffeeZilla went back at him again because like the conclusion of what happened the first time where he like scammed people with NFTs was he made this like big promise announcement about how he was going to pay everybody back, and then nothing's been paid back. So CoffeeZilla like came back at him, and then he just blocked CoffeeZilla on Twitter, and it became like a whole thing again. So I'm wondering now if the timing in terms of like intentionally making the content, I'm sure he was, getting married or getting engaged, whatever, but I'm wondering if the content had anything to do with that. And I don't know, it feels like he doesn't do it feels a little bit more, and I'm not as familiar with like what his actual like daily content is, but it does feel a little bit more forced, the content wise, to be like, let me get some good vibes back my way.
Interesting.
Because he doesn't have like recently, I feel like his content is way more brand focused. Like he doesn't do individual like following my life kind of stuff anymore.
I don't know. I don't follow him enough to know. I see Prime. I see like a lot. He talks a lot about WWE. That's been a really big thing for his career, and I think he'll be there.
That's right. Like his content feels way more focused on specific things he's working on now, not so much as like, oh, let me film my life and like here's what's going on today. We're gonna fuck with these people and do this or whatever. That felt like kind of out of nowhere. But again, I didn't watch it yet, so I don't want to like speak out of context.
But that's where I'm giving the benefit of the doubt of maybe his expression is via video, and he felt like this summation. One of the cool moments is in some form of a vlog. He says after meeting her like, oh, I'm gonna marry this girl like 12 afters after meeting her, right? So that's like,
wonder how many girls you said that about.
How many are in the archives? I don't know. But this one came to fruition. So yeah, I mean, you made the comment about New Age doing legacy stuff, legacy doing New Age. I think the WWE partnership's a perfect blend of that, which is they saw the attention he could bring, and he sees how much value an established audience like WWE has been for his brand. So I don't know if it's pulling from the other. I think it's doing it together.
It's doing it together, but I feel like that really only, I guess, relates to you got to be like the biggest of the biggest in order to kind of clash with those titans and even get on the radar of those types of people.
Yeah. That's all I've got. That was quick. Oh, one last thing we can talk about is performance on the thumb. So pull up the studio. To be fair, you combined my two thumbs, which let's talk through for those who missed it. Last episode or 2 episodes ago, we got but we got 1.1K views. So our second highest performing of all time. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Sub count is slowly growing. Like I think we gained 30, 40 subs on that. And then we did a little thought experiment and had Nick edit the content for reasons that our editor was on vacation. And then we were messing around and I wanted to create the thumbnail because we were just learning and teaching each other. So you took my 2 thumbs, which I had originally created a thumbnail of Zuckerberg and Musk on a boxer with his arms in the air with the Threads logo in the middle. And we both were on the same page, which was, it's so bad that it's...
I think I could quote my text. Yeah. Hold on. I think it was literally like, this is so basic and bad that it might just be really good.
Yeah. And that honestly, because I wasn't done, but when I sent it to you, that was kind of my feeling too, which is like when a thumb is so underproduced but is so simple, sometimes...
So you think I should have just let that rip?
Or then the second one I sent you was Elon...
Oh, wait. I didn't realize that when you sent me that, like you were thinking that by itself could have been the thumb.
Yeah, so a little miscommunication. Okay. I mean, we still could change and A/B test a little, but Elon literally tweeted, "Zuck is a cuck." And then
you see the next tweet after that?
No.
He like followed up on the thread and he said, we should have a literal dick measuring competition.
Yeah, guys,
everyone's leaving. They're going to Bojangles now.
Yeah. But I sent that one and Nick combined the two. Do you think that performance dropped because of content and no one cared about threads at that point in the conversation? You think it was part of the thumbnail? Do you think
the thumbnail was? Yeah, I ruined the thumbnail for sure. Yeah. It got to the point I didn't actually know if you were like going to make the thumbnail or not, and then it became Monday morning, and I was like, oh, we didn't reach out to the guys, so like we're running with this, so let me try to like make it a little bit better. And
but you and Gut also fucked around with thumbnails.
I could have put that one too, but I figured like I might as well just put yours.
Yeah. And what was the title of last week's as well? It was like,
it's just like Instagram threads is gonna flop like a fish. I think, something like that.
Fish, yeah. Which I thought was a fine title, but there was no fish in the thumbnail, so I don't know the relation.
That's fair.
So yeah, it's fun to test.
It was like once I put the tweet in the back, it became not simple anymore. So then like the simplicity of the rest of it
looked like shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened.
All right, so we'll fuck around and put some different thumbs on it and see if it does anything different. But yeah, that's all I got.
All right, there you go. See you next week.
I will watch the red light.
Yeah, there you go. We have
and if it pops off.
It just means it's not recording anymore. Yeah. This camera should take care of all that, though.
Okay.
I didn't realize that we could stream with this as well as film for over an hour. on these. Didn't know till Noah told me that, so
Nice.
solves all our problems.
All right, let's rock. Oh, yeah, go.
Yeah, no.
No, I was going to give it once you start it. I want Rubman to watch because I'm wearing the Celtic shorts. Like, he only listens.
Well, before we get in, because I don't want this to be, part of the conversation, we'll let people at the end get a bite of the lime. We played basketball together.
Yeah, we did.
What do you think?
Wait, is this in or no?
It'll be at the end.
I feel like it should be at the top.
It'll be in the credits. You want to start with that?
Yeah.
All right, fuck it.